Hey guys, so today you get an independent reading period. And when we read independently, you can either catch up if you're a little bit behind, or again, you can look over the um, options for the ESL bits on the homepage. There's plenty of options that we went over in the past couple of independent reading periods. But today, while you're reading, no matter what you're reading, I want you to try and focus on imagery. So imagery, um, and its actual definition in literary terms, is the author's use of vivid and descriptive language to add depth to their work. Sensory imagery appeals to human senses, like sight, sound, smell, to deepen the reader's understanding of the work. And powerful forms of imagery engage all of the senses. So you might have noticed that The Lord of the Flies has a lot of imagery in it. And it's kind of easy to skip over it, but I really want you to try and slow down and pay attention to it. This is kind of a really interesting part of third person narrative, in that we get this overall view of things that first person just doesn't always cover. So, for example, in chapter 4, and I also want to show you this cool thing, because I was trying to think of where this passage was, but I wasn't sure. And I guessed chapter 4, and I was right. But I knew that it was when the first place that they talked about the mirages. So if you press Command F, which is a find function, and my computer's being really slow. There it is. So mirage. See how my computer is lighting up? And then I find the word here, and I also find it here, right? So that's a really cool thing. If you know you have some text evidence and you remember like what it said, but you can't remember what it is, I think you have to be in the exact right chapter. But when we're talking about chapters as we go, it's a cool little function to use. But anyway, I wanted to bring you guys' attention to this paragraph in the very beginning of the book, right? And it's when they're first on the island. So it says, strange things happened at midday. The glittering sea rose up, moved apart in plains of blatant impossibility. The coral reef and the few stunted palms that clung to the more elevated parts would float up to the sky, would quiver, be plucked apart, run like raindrops on a wire, or be repeated as in an odd succession of mirrors. Sometimes land loomed where there was no land and flicked out like a bubble as the children watched. Piggy discounted all this learnedly as mirage, and since no boy could reach even the reef over the stretch of water where the snapping sharks waited, they grew accustomed to these mysteries and ignored them, just as they ignored the miraculous throbbing stars. At midday, the illusions merged into the sky, and there the sun gazed down like an angry eye. Then, at the end of the afternoon, the mirage subsided, and the horizon became level and blue, and clipped as the sun declined. There was another time of comparative coolness, but menaced by the coming of the dark. When the sun sank, darkness dropped on the island like an extinguisher, and soon the shelters were full of restlessness under the remote stars. So, this is like a really kind of dense paragraph that would be really easy to just skip over. But if you take a second and just imagine what these things or what these words are trying to tell us, that's what imagery really is, right? And it's really bringing to life what it's like on this island. And because there's not one particular person that we're seeing everything from the point of view of, it's really important to pay attention to. So whether you're reading Lord of the Flies to catch up or get ahead, or if you're reading something else, whenever there's descriptive language, I just really want you to pay attention to it, because it'll really bring a lot more to your reading. Okay? Thanks, guys. Can't wait to talk to you. Bye.